Wait, you guys have smallmouth? I don't think I've ever known that Jersey had smallmouth.
Yeah, we definitely have some smallmouth.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. I'm your host, Thomas Ahrens, and today I have on Jake Coucoules, who won the Upper Chesapeake Bay on Mid-Atlantic Kayak Association. Jake, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, I mean, what's your story, dude? Like, how did you get into fishing?
The first time I went fishing was when I was like 5 years old with my uncle, and ever since then, I just loved it. Like, I've always loved fishing my whole life, really. I didn't get into the kayaks, though, until like 2020. I think I figured out about the kayak tournament.
What was your first kayak?
I had a field and stream blade, like a 9.5-foot sit-in from Dick's that I got. And then I upgraded to the Ascend 12T. I had that for a couple years. Now I got the Hobie Outback.
How are you liking the Hobie?
I love it. I mean, I've got a lot of use out of it, but I think I'm thinking about getting a different brand for my next kayak.
What are you thinking about getting?
I'm not 100% sure. I do want to get it probably after this season I'll get a new kayak, but I'm thinking maybe new canoe as of right now, but I'm not sure. It won't be until the end of the season.
Yeah, it's crazy like how kayaks have blown up with different models and how it's evolved so quickly over the past 5 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now some kayaks look like little mini bass boats, like John boats. It's like, is it really a kayak? Like,
dude, don't get me started, man. It's nuts. Like, I mean, it is. It's going to be mini bass boats here shortly.
Yeah. I mean, we're hitting that stage now. Trolling motors, live scopes, everything.
What kind of history do you have with tournament fishing before this year?
I've done a lot of tournaments. Like, I used to do the KBF tournaments, the KFL, like the Kayak Fishing League. I did those. Bassmaster, Hobie. I've done a lot of tournaments over the past couple of years.
What got you really into it?
Kayak tournament I did was an Iconelli Foundation tournament, actually.
Oh, cool.
And I did that with my little red sitting kayak. And I seen all the other kayaks these guys had. I was like, wow, I need to get a different kayak.
Wow, dude, that's really cool. Have you had a lot of experience on the Upper Potomac or Upper Chesapeake Bay?
A decent amount. The first time I went there was, I think, 3 years ago. I've been there like 10 or 11 times over the past couple years, but the place is so big you can fish something that's considered the Upper Chesapeake, but it's way different than other areas. Like, there's so many different things to do up there. I love that place. That's like one of the coolest places I've ever been to.
It's a massive place, and honestly, it could be a little scary for people that aren't used to it and just really trying to figure out where to start.
Yeah, it's definitely intimidating, especially the flats. It's like, where do I start at? And I think a lot of people just look for wherever there's 20 other boats, and then they just go there and start.
I mean, the bent pole pattern's around for a reason.
That's what I did the first time I went.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went there, it was on my buddy's jet boat, and we were just driving out, like, from out of the mouth of the Susquehanna, and we were like, where do we even go? Like, this place is crazy looking. And then we've seen like 25 bass boats all in one spot together. We were like, oh, we might as well go check out that spot.
Well, going into this year, did you fish the first event?
Yeah, I did.
So,
Wingo?
Yeah, and so really just paint the scene, since this was the second, the event that you just won was the second one. The first one at Conowingo, how'd you do?
Terrible. I mean, I think I caught one fish at Conowingo. That I don't really know that place. That was only my second time, I think, second or third time that I went. And yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I was out there in like 3-foot waves trying to live scope, and it did not work out. I did not catch them that day.
What was your outlook then going into the upper Chesapeake when you had a rough start to the season?
I mean, it's fishing. If you have a bad day, you just gotta kind of flush it and go on to the next one. I was just hoping that I would be able to find something at the Chesapeake.
Did you get a lot of practice in?
No, I didn't practice at all. The last time I went back to that spot was the tournament last year that we had. I fished in that same area.
So you just rolled into this event with no practice.
Yeah.
Dude, that's badass. It worked.
Yeah, I mean, I fished the same general area last year, so I kind of had an idea of where I was going to go. And luckily, there was some fish there.
I mean, then let's get into it. So what was your strategy and your plan for the Upper Bay?
Well, there's an area that I found last year that it's on the flats, and I don't know, there was just a bunch of fish in that area last year, and I think I came in fourth in that tournament. I feel like I was in it. I just needed another 1 or 2 big bites. But this year, I was like, I might as well just go back there, and hopefully there's still some fish there. And I was just winding a lipless around and a chatterbait, like trying to cover water, trying to figure out where they were at.
When you say the flats, for people that aren't familiar with it, at the very, very top of the Upper Bay where the Susquehanna dumps in the Northeast River or Sassafras, all that stuff, you have this massive bowl, and that's considered the flats. And it's a little bit of a drive or a paddle or a pedal to get to it. What was the distances you had to cover to get to your spot? Was it an hour, 20 minutes?
I'd say it took like a half hour of pedaling to get there.
Damn.
I got there like almost right at lines in.
That's also good to know. So you didn't have a motor.
Yeah, I think that area. No motor. Yeah, I need to get. I'm hopefully gonna have one soon.
Oh, Lord, the calories you burnt.
But I'm used to it at this point. But I think that area was actually made by a meteor strike, they say. Like that entire open area, the flats up there.
That's cool. I didn't hear that before.
Yeah, I think that's why it's just that open giant bowl, like at the mouth of the Susky. Apparently a meteor hit a super long time ago. It's like a very unique area.
No, yeah. Huh. That would make sense. That would explain why it's the shape it is. So when you got out to your spot, lines are in, when did things start happening for you?
Luckily I ended up starting to catch them pretty early. I think I had a limit within the first like hour and a half, just winding chatterbait and a lipless around. And I was using my 360 to look for the grass because there wasn't a lot of grass yet there. Like it was real patchy. So I would look around on my 360 for like the best patches of grass and cast the chatterbait or the lipless into there.
Dude, that's the thing about a lot of these fisheries, especially like the Upper Bay. It's very grass dependent for the most part. And was this just grass, like you said, the area you found last year, did you have to hunt around a little bit to find the grass?
Last year when we went, I feel like it was a week or 2 later, and there was more grass. So it was more about finding the better patches of grass. But this year there wasn't as much grass. So if you could find any decent patch of grass, it seemed like it had a couple fish in it.
Mm. So you get there, first hour, you got a limit in the boat. What is your mind thinking right now? Is it, oh my God, I'm in the lead, I'm winning this thing? Or like, where was your head at?
Um, Last year when we went, I feel like it was a week or 2 later, and there was more grass. So it was more about finding the better patches of grass. But this year there wasn't as much grass. So if you could find any decent patch of grass, it seemed like it had a couple fish in it. No, I mean I knew these guys were gonna catch them, and I knew I didn't have nearly enough. So I was just thinking about how can I catch bigger fish. Like I wasn't having a problem catching numbers. Like I caught so many little 13, 14, 15-inch fish, but it was hard to find the bigger fish.
That is always a puzzling thing. How did you figure it out?
And what I was thinking was that I knew that the tide was going out until about like 9:30, and then the tide was going to come in. And for some reason, I don't know why, but those fish like the incoming tide. So I was thinking if I just keep fishing around this area and fishing the best grass, the larger fish should move in at one point with that tide, hopefully. And I ended up catching two 19s in the last hour, luckily. And that was what really ended up getting the win for me. I wouldn't have probably been even close without those two 19s.
Did you have that spot to yourself, or were you competing with other people?
No, yeah, I was all by myself. I could see other boats, but they weren't fishing near where I was.
Okay. When you caught them, were they coming in, or did they give you space?
No, nobody came in on me all day, honestly. Like I had the camera boat from the Chesapeake Club. They came over to me, and I thought it was a boater that was gonna try and fish my spot, but luckily it was just them, and they were just the camera guys.
Oh, dude, that's pretty cool. You were like a celebrity there.
I think they were filming everybody, but it was pretty cool.
I mean, it's got to be weird when you have that first hour of the day where everything goes right, whether it's a massive limit or not, where you quickly catch five, you got a limit. It's what I think every angler dreams for is to have a quick limit and then try to call the rest of the day, just to have that stress off. But then there is also that nagging, like, okay, now I got to make those adjustments. I got to constantly keep grinding, keep moving. Did you feel like there was a lot of pressure on yourself after you got that limit to just hunt down those calls?
I mean, I'm kind of used to the tournament pressure at this point. I wouldn't say that there was really like I felt pressure, but I did know in the back of my head I wasn't close to winning. Like even if I'd said I was winning on the leaderboard, I knew I was gonna need some big upgrades. And the biggest thing, it's hard sometimes when you're catching a lot of fish to make adjustments because you wonder like, oh, maybe if I change this bait, I won't catch anything, but maybe I'll catch something big on it. And I think the best adjustment that I made was I'd been throwing a lighter lipless, catching small fish, but I went to a heavier lipless, the Berkeley War Pig in like a yellow perch color.
Mm.
And that was what I ended up catching the two bigger fish on. I don't know if it was like if they would have bit anything if I got in front of them or if it was just that bait change that made a big difference. But also those two bigger fish, it seemed like they were in the thickest patch of grass. Like there was like a field of kind of like a football field of grass, but in the center of that was the thickest, like tallest patches of grass, and that's where those two big fish were. And I caught a big snakehead and a big catfish all in that patch. Like all the bigger fish were in that thickest patch.
That's crazy because usually you don't catch like catfish with bass.
Sometimes, especially those tidal places, sometimes you do. Like the Potomac, sometimes the Chesapeake, sometimes. But that was the first time I caught a snakehead on the flat. I knew that they were there, but I never caught one out there before, and it was big. It was probably like 28 inches.
Dang! Wow, that is a monster snakehead.
Yeah, I was reeling the chatter or the lipless, and I paused it, and I went to reel it again. And it was just heavy, and at first I was like, "Oh man, this is a giant," and then it started fighting weird. I was like, "Oh, it's not a bass," and then it ended up being the snakehead.
Is that the biggest snakehead you ever caught in your life?
No, no. We have a lot of snakeheads up here, so I catch them more than I would like to. I've caught some pretty big ones.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the right area for it. Like, there is some massive snakehead up in that part of the Upper Bay. What, bait wise, what told you mentally to switch to that bigger lipless? Was it a feeling you had? Was it something that you saw?
I just felt like I wasn't being efficient enough with the lighter lipless. Like the heavier one, I could cast it a little bit further and fish it a little bit faster, so I could cover a little bit more ground. Because I was mostly just trying to keep making circles and move around and make a lot of casts in that grass patch.
That's smart. That's really smart. And it comes down to also like when it's your time, it's your time. I don't know how many times I've said that the past couple of weeks on the show, but the fact that you're fishing the flats, nobody was a jerk to you and moved in, whether it was a kayak or a bass boat. That's impressive because that's part of it to have those ingredients line up. You get your limit right away. You have the spot relatively to yourself. And if you get all these factors together, boom, like that's when magic can happen.
Yeah, it was nice to have everything work out perfectly for once, because usually that doesn't happen in a tournament a lot of times.
No, it doesn't. It takes a lot of ingredients to come together to have one of these outstanding days. What when you caught that last fish, what did you think you actually had it won?
I'm not sure. I knew that I was probably going to be in like close with that last one, but I didn't know for sure that I had it won, even at the weigh-in the whole time, because I know how these tournaments go. Like I knew somebody could have caught a 20-incher at the end and submitted at the end, so I never was 100% sure until they and made the announcement at the weigh-in.
What is next for you? You know, you just in your second tournament of the year, you clinch a win. Like, I mean, this has got to be surreal.
I mean, that was my second MAKBF tournament, but I've done a good amount of tournaments this year.
Oh, really?
I went to Kissimmee for Bassmaster. Yeah, I went to Kissimmee for Bassmaster. I went to the Classic at Lake Fork. And we had a couple New Jersey tournaments this year.
Dude, you went to the Bassmaster Classic?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience.
How did that work?
Not great. Like Lake Fork is an awesome lake, but it's not easy. Like I was having a hard time getting bit there. I think I had like 85 inches in the tournament, came in like the middle of the pack, but it was still an awesome experience. I learned a lot, and I caught my PB that week. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. How big was it?
22 and 3/4, and it weighed 7 pounds 14 ounces.
That's a monster. It's probably a baby for down there, but for up here, man, that would be like a trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Down there, it's not that big of a deal, but up here, we don't see a lot of fish like that.
And Texas is just so unique in how it fishes, how you find them, how everything sets up. Like, how did you qualify for the Classic?
I won at Lake Mary last year for Bassmaster.
You have won a lot of tournaments around the area that's outside the Virginia area, dude. That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I do a lot of tournaments. I have a lot of bad tournaments too. So.
Well, it's like you got to play the ratio. You know, the more tournaments you fish, the higher probability you have of winning one. But going outside the area, your local area, is always tough. I mean, what have you learned from fishing outside the area?
Oh man, I've learned an insane amount of things. Every place is just different though. Like, especially those tidal places like around Chesapeake, Potomac. Our Delaware River is very unique compared to those, but I just feel like every place you go to, you just got to realize it's going to fish a little bit differently.
How do you break down new water?
It really depends on where you're at, but usually, like if you have a couple of days of practice, I feel like the best thing to do is just cover as much ground until you get somewhere that you feel comfortable in. Like you don't have to catch 100 inches in practice to have a good tournament, but the key is just to get an area that you understand or that you just feel comfortable in for the tournament. And then if you don't have practice and you have to wing it for a tournament, you got to kind of fish the first couple hours like it's practice and just try to get a feel for what's going on and hopefully land on them during the tournament. But it's a lot harder when you don't have practice.
How many fish do you want to see in an area before you feel comfortable?
That really depends on where you're at. I mean, you could find a rock shoal in Champlain and catch 40 fish off of it, or you could go to Texas or Florida and it's like hard to catch 5 fish in a day. So I don't know, it's a little bit different everywhere you go, I feel like.
Well, let's look at the tournament you had down in Murray. What did you see in practice?
Well, luckily I had been to Murray like 3 or 4 times before that for KBS. So I already kind of knew what area I was comfortable in and what area I knew had good fish. So in practice, I only had 2 days, but I mostly just went around and just tried to make as many good waypoints as I could. Anything that looked good to me, like a rock pile, a certain dock, a brush pile. I just wanted to have as many waypoints as possible for when the tournament came.
And what are you running, a Helix? Are you running a Solix? What are you running?
I have a Helix 7, a Helix 8, and then I have a Lowrance HDS Live 9. But that's just for live scope, like active target.
Good God, man. You got 3 graphs on your kayak, man. You rocking it.
I don't usually run 3. I'll usually pick between the 360 and the live. I will, if I have to a certain place, I might use both. But 99% of the time, I'm going to pick between the live and the 360.
That's pretty much what I do too. Going with it's a safe bet.
The Chesapeake or I feel like Chesapeake, Potomac, you don't really need the live most of the time. You're better off with the 360.
Yeah, especially if you don't have perspective mode. I mean, I still like 360. I just like the easy use that it constantly rotates, but I 100% get it. I've seen the footage of perspective mode. I get it's the shit. I got to get a bigger graph screen so I can see. I have a 10-inch Garmin, and for some reason, or I need LASIK. Maybe it's that, but I cannot see very well with perspective mode on my tiny screen.
Yeah, I don't really have any experience with perspective mode, to be honest. Like, I'm still learning the forward mode.
What was your biggest takeaway from using forward-facing sonar on a kayak?
I actually got it a long time ago, probably like 2022, like 3 years ago. And I didn't have it set up right. I had a lot of problems with it the first couple months. And out of frustration at one tournament, I think we were at Cayuga for Hobie, and I just ripped wires ripping it out because I was so mad because it was messing up my whole fishing, and I took like a 2-year break from it, and I just put it back on I put it back on when I got back from Fort, and now I'm relearning it again.
it's interesting because it gives you so much power and responsibility that you can see so much, but then it's like when you have to turn that off and how to process all the information. And people, have their druthers with it on both sides of the aisle, so to speak. To me, it's the secondary information you get where if you're fishing along docks or whatever and you see nothing, no life, no nothing, it kind of tells you like you got to start moving. Because there are some unique situations where like you're not going to see anything on scope and there's fish still in the area. But a lot of times if it looks like the desert out there in the water, probably means nothing is active in that area and to move. And at least for me, that was the hardest thing to know is you got to trust the screen that if you're on a point throwing a jerkbait and you don't see shit, it's because there's nothing there and move.
Yeah.
When you went to the Murray tournament and you marked all these waypoints, were you going to be rotating through all of them, or like how was your process of going through the waypoints that you made?
I mean, the craziest part was the spot that I ended up catching most of my fish off of. I didn't even mess with it in practice. It was just a history place that I'd fished before, and I just had a weird gut feeling to go there and try it during the tournament. Like, it was around an island, and the first day it ended up working out perfectly.
Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, it broke up for a second. What, did you hear me?
I heard something about an island.
Yeah, I didn't even fish that island in practice, but I just had a gut feeling during the tournament that I should go there, because for some reason when it gets real windy and cloudy, that island has produced in the past. So I went there during the tournament, ended up catching most of my fish off of that day one, and then I had to make a couple adjustments on day two, and I started on this rock pile that I caught a quick limit off of, or I caught 4 maybe, I don't know. I caught a couple in the morning to give me confidence, and then I went back to that island and finished it off around that island.
Do you like to rerun the same water? Like kind of like, I mean, it has a bad connotation, but like fishing in a circle, so to speak. Or do you like to just, you're going to be there one time, and I'm talking just generically, hit that dock one time and be done with it and find new water? What would you say is more your vibe?
My vibe, I would say if I had to, I would like to keep moving, especially like chucking and winding like a crankbait or something. That's how I would prefer to, but a lot of, not a lot of time, but especially if you're on a tidal place, like a Chesapeake, Potomac, Delaware River type place, you kind of are better off staying in the same area, because usually there's going to be groups of fish. If you're in a good area, there's going to be groups of fish that'll move in and out of that area throughout the day. And a lot of times you'll waste time covering water when you could just like make your circle and the fish will be back. Like when you get around to the beginning, the fish will be back there again if it's a good spot.
I feel like that's something that kayak fishing really helps you get good at, is really maximizing the area. And that, yeah, you know what? You can fish the creek the same creek 2 or 3 times and just hit every dock and every stump. And I challenge people that listen to this upload, just for practice, for fun one day, pick a creek or an area and don't leave it all day. Boat, kayak, inflatable mattress, don't care. What you'll be shocked about is you'll make the second or third pass and you'll catch a fish. And it's like, well, where'd this fish come from? I just went through there. And for some reason, the timing was better, that fish set up. And now you know, like, okay, there are fish on this stump. And then you go back the 4th or 5th time of the day and you'll catch another one. And it's so crazy how these micro patterns start to form when you're not just hauling ass with the mercury up and down the lake, and you just get settled in an area.
Yeah, especially the tidal place. Fish will move in and out of areas throughout the day, and it's interesting how like at a certain tide, bigger fish will move in, and at a certain tide, smaller fish will move in.
Something that I really forgot to ask you at the beginning of the show, and I apologize for that, is where are you from?
Oh, I'm from New Jersey.
What is the deal with Jersey? Like, I don't even know how. It's such an interesting place because if you're not from Jersey, you just think the Sopranos and dead bodies and golf carts floating in the water. But then there's this other part of Jersey that's like pristine and woods and stuff.
I feel like New Jersey, you gotta kind of break it up in North Jersey and South Jersey because they're very different as far as fishing is concerned. I mean, North Jersey is like almost like New York, like mountainy lakes, like highland reservoirs,
Huh.
deep, clear, good grass, some trees, rock, smallmouth, alewife. But then South Jersey is like more like Florida, I would say, like very shallow, silty, sometimes grassy, usually nasty water, pickerel infested, like cedary water looking lakes, like completely different than the North Jersey.
What would you consider your home body of water?
Probably, I guess the Delaware River and like the outskirt or like the lakes that connect to it, like Cooper River, Newton Lake, places like that is where I really grew up and learned how to fish because that's like what's within that's what's closest to my house. 'Cause I live like right outside of Philly.
Okay. Well, for the Delaware River, that place is legendarily, how do I put this? Challenging. um, the fact
Yeah.
the fact that you could be fishing a place and then 2 hours later there's no water, and you're in a kayak that you have to pedal. So it's got to be just a lot of fighting the current, being in the right place. Like, how does that evolve the way you fish?
Uh, oh man, the Delaware is a unique place. Like, it's all about timing on the Delaware. It's crazy. That tide swing, like you said, it's crazy how you could fish a spot 10 times throughout the day. And then you get there on the right tide, and then you catch 5 fish off of it. And catching 5 fish is a big time accomplishment in the Delaware. Like, we don't have the bass population that Potomac or Chesapeake has. And I just don't feel like there's a place where timing is as important as on the Delaware. And it's crazy how small the feeding window can be. And yeah, it's a difficult place to fish in the kayak for sure. But I do it a good amount, and I have certain spots that I know the time of year and the tide to go to.
It is understanding what a high tide spot is and a low tide spot, just literally fishing it, and then there's fish there on that tide. Or is there more a nuanced scientific approach to it?
I mean, you're not going to learn it unless you go out there and just fish it throughout the tides and just keep fishing it until you get out. But once you figure out like a certain area and a certain time of year and the tide, it can become predictable. Like, you can know, like, okay, when the tide turns around and it starts going out, is the best time to hit this laydown because it creates a good eddy. Or when the tide is coming in on this one point, there's a good current break on these riprap rocks, and the fish will stack up there. But you really just have to fish and learn it on your own. Like, there's not like a magic formula to it, especially on a tidal place where the tide turns around and changes so much. Like, you could fish a lily bass out of it, and then an hour later there's no water in that lily pad. It's just mud.
Mm. And this is something I will keep beating home to everyone that's listening that's trying to get better with tidal water. Don't cut corners. Go to Mattawoman Creek spend all day there. Do not leave. 8 hours, all the tide swings.
Yeah.
Fish everything. And as you catch fish, mark in a notebook or your GPS unit, what was the tide like? What was going on? And all of a sudden you'll build up a resume for Madwoman of like, okay, this is how I fish it on high, low tide, whatever. Once you get a good notebook, go to the next creek. And because I do think tidal is the hardest place to practice if you have no experience, because you could be at the right place, but it's the wrong time. And you can't practice and catch things. A lake, yeah, you can go by a point, graph it, throw the scope down and be like, okay, there's fish here. They're not biting, but they're here. These are the good ones. You usually can't always do that on tidal. We're talking about tidal, and I was trying to segue, just really talking about the lakes in the area. Like, do you guys have a lot of lakes that you got experience on so you could learn how to fish?
Yeah, there is a lot of small lakes in New Jersey that I fish. Like, there's a lot of them, and they can be very different depending on which part of the state they're in. Like everywhere in the northern part of the state, it's like more clear water, deeper, rocky, grassy, smallmouth, and then the southern lakes are like shallow, more like Florida, silty, sometimes grass, that cedary water, a lot of pickerel, golden shiners. So we do have a kind of diverse fisheries for a small state.
Wait, you guys have smallmouth? I don't think I've ever known that Jersey had smallmouth.
Yeah, we definitely have some smallmouth. The river has a lot, but we have Manasquan, Round Valley, Merrill Creek, Hopatcong. We have a good amount of lakes. The northern lakes have smallmouth, like the North Jersey.
Does this fishing up in Jersey, I mean, I have an image in my head, and maybe people listening to this program will too, highly pressured small bodies of water. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate.
Does that really mold and help shape the way you look at fishing when you go to a place like Lake Murray, Chesapeake Bay? I mean, do you have a background in like BFS, light line stuff, Dinkin and Duncan? Like, how would you say like the type of fishing was growing up when it comes to like the lakes in the area?
I think some of our lakes, especially in the more populated areas, can be almost like Japan sometimes.
Whoa.
Where it's like, it's very hard just to get a bite. Like, catching a limit is like almost impossible. Just catching a fish is a big accomplishment. So it really forces you to learn a lot of techniques. And yeah, there's certain lakes where you have to get real creative and real finessey just to get a bite.
Damn. What's the lightest you've had to go to get bit?
I wouldn't say I had to go to super light line a lot of times. Maybe I use a lot of like 6 and 7 pound line, but usually it's just throwing something different that maybe not everybody is throwing. Like, I remember the first time I learned a drop shot, I mean, it was probably like 11 or 12 years ago now, but that was like a magical thing for me because nobody was throwing that. And I could go to these like little smaller ponds, like from the bank, and catch fish almost any time with that.
Wow. So it sounds like you really do put a lot of weight into the credence of if fish haven't seen it, you can get a couple more bites, and always looking for something different.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when you're fishing lakes that are highly pressured, even if it's a small tweak, like, it can make a big difference. Like just a small color change, or going from an 1/8 ounce head to a 3/16 ounce head, or something like that. A small weight change can make a big difference.
How much does that stuff play when you go out of Jersey to a Lake Murray, a Lake Fork, the Chesapeake Bay? Like, do you have that same mindset, or do you feel like it's a little bit easier when you go to some of these places?
It depends on where we go. I mean, like going to Texas or Florida or Alabama, Tennessee, those fish can be almost just as pressured sometimes. So
Really?
it can be just as hard to get them to bite.
That's crazy, man, to say that like Texas and Alabama can have fishing pressure that's equivalent to Jersey?
I mean, the lakes are a lot bigger, so it's different. Like, I guess the pressure wouldn't be the same because it's not like they're seeing 50 lures a day, like how some of our fish do. But like Gunnersville, there's a good amount of pressure on there, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of boats out there, and a lot of the stuff. Like, if you find something good, somebody else has probably found that same spot and fished it.
It almost makes it sound like with fishing pressure over the United States getting more and more prevalent, there's an advantage to fishing in Jersey or Ohio, these places that do get beat to snot for these tiny bodies of water. You're just so used to thinking outside the box and grinding for 5 bites.
Yeah, 100%. I would say that definitely helped me a lot growing up. Like, I feel like if I grew up on a place where it was really easy to catch fish, like a Champlain or Maine or something like that, it would be a lot harder to travel to these places because your expectations would be different. But growing up at a place where it's really hard to just catch a limit of 12 inches, it really makes you appreciate pretty much every other fishery that I go to.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I can believe it. What was the biggest learning curve when you started to branch outside of Jersey? Do you remember it? Was it like a moment like, oh, aha?
Just how big some of these bodies of water are. Like the first one that I went to like that was Murray, I think 2021, like the first time I really traveled. And I had no idea where to even start. Like, I'm looking at the lake on the map. I'm like, I could fish this lake every day all year and not fish all of the water. So it's hard to find a starting place, like, for my first couple times traveling. But now insane. I've kind of learned, like there's big lakes. They usually, like, there's going to be certain areas that are really good, but the best thing you can do is just go to an area that you're confident in and comfortable in. Like an area that maybe reminds you of something at home or somewhere where you feel comfortable, like something that you know how to do.
That is great advice to anyone listening. What was the hardest fishery in general? And I know you touched on I think it was Lake Fork. Is that, in your mind, like the hardest fishery that you've had to be put on and to learn?
It was difficult, but I don't think anywhere is as tough as the Delaware River is.
Damn.
I think that's the hardest place.
Dude, I don't know how you do it. That, to me, I don't even think that would be fun, honestly.
Like, I think that's why it doesn't get as much pressure. It doesn't get as much pressure as you might think because of how hard it is.
What's the average
bass there?
What's the average bag size? Just like, what's a good day for the Delaware River?
The bass boat guys, like, there's some river rat guys that can put up like a 12 to 15 pound bag consistently. But if I go there and catch a limit, I'm really happy with myself. Like, even if it's a limit of 14 inches, I'm usually happy with that.
That's impressive, dude. That's pretty.
Or if you catch one big one, like anything over 2.5 pounds is a really big one. Like Ike and Ellie said in the when the Elite Series was here, he was like, a 3-pounder here is like a 10-pounder anywhere else. And that wasn't a huge exaggeration. Like, 3-pounder is a very big one on the Delaware. Like, 15 pounds, if you catch 15 pounds, you're going to win some money in the tournament 99% of the time.
Damn. Yeah, that's got to change your mindset growing up about, like, okay, I want to just get bit, I've had a guy, a local on the show, his name is McCluskey, and he fishes a lot of places where it takes, 20, 25 pound bags to win. And it changes your mindset when you fish places like that or Lake Fork. And like, that's I would consider your home body of water, because your mindset of like getting big bites, hunting for those 4 or 5 pounders. But when you grow up in a place like you're doing, and it's like, oh, it's a pounder, baby. We're set. It's a 1.5 pounds. it does, because you're so focused on just grinding out those bites and how you get them.
Yeah, and that is one difficult thing about traveling is sometimes it's hard to know how to target 19 and 20-inch bass. Like that was an adjustment for me, and I still got a lot to learn. But I feel like I use a lot heavier equipment traveling now than I ever used growing up. I never really needed 20-pound fluoro for anywhere around here. But you go to Texas or Florida, those fish will whoop your butt if you got 12-pound fluoro. So
I mean,
it's just an adjustment that you learn.
Dude, I mean, you're preach. I mean, and you look at even like the Upper Bay, it's the same thing where you can do the finesse deal there, but it's going to take a little bit. You're gonna have to bump up all your tackle to be fishing there, especially the further south you go, Tidal, Potomac, James, stuff like that. It can be shocking, surprisingly, if you fish these tiny ponds, tiny lakes, when you make that jump to big boy places. You got to bump up all your tackle.
Yeah, like I will go back and watch some of my old YouTube videos sometimes. And like when I first started fishing the tournaments, I had a lot of spinning rods, a lot of real finessey, like major craft, like Japanese rods, a lot of light line, a lot of finesse baits. And now, like, I feel like everything has gotten bigger and heavier. My line sizes are heavier. My rods are heavier. My rods are longer. But I feel like it's just something you learn and adjust with over time. Because, when you're traveling, most of these places we go to, a 15 or 16-inch bass doesn't really mean anything. But that's like a big one at a lot of places in New Jersey.
If you could move one place tomorrow, you could snap your fingers, everything. What place of the country would you move to help improve your skills, or would you stay where you are?
Either Alabama or South Carolina, probably. I would love to live on Guntersville. I think that was one of the coolest places that I've been. I think the Carolinas would be really cool because you have a lot of different type of fisheries. Like you could go to Murray one day, then go to Hartwell, then go to Norman. If I had to pick one place, it'd be tough between the Carolinas or the Alabama.
Carolina is pretty special. I mean, for Alabama, it probably would be Guntersville. I just like fishing grass places, and I know Alabama like kills most of the grass that they have in their state. But Guntersville would be a lot of fun to go to.
I just feel like you would learn, like if you want to fish Guntersville all the time, you are gonna have to be constantly getting better at fishing because it's such a good fishery, but the fish are so smart, the big ones.
Really?
Yeah.
If there's
Have
one,
you been to Guntersville?
No, I haven't. It's like a bucket list item. I've been to Okeechobee, Harris Chain, Okopoco, whatever the hell it's called down in Florida. Let's see. I've been to Hartwell, Clarks Hill, Kiwi a bunch, Lake Murray, St. Lawrence, Lake Champlain. We had a lot more northern college derbies back in the day than southern ones we went to, which is probably bad because I don't have a lot of experience on the TVA system, and that's so important to understand and learn if you want to make a go at it outside of our area.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I learned with the TVA is that the current only goes one way. It's not like a tidal place where the current goes both ways. Like those fish are used to the current always going a certain way there.
So how I can word this question. With that said, is there a certain way that you saw the fish kind of set up when it comes to fishing the TVA system?
I mean, I'm definitely no expert at it, but I have a little bit of experience there. And I feel like it is more similar to a river than most lakes. But at the same time, like a place like Guntersville, you can go way back in a creek and it is basically a lake. Like there doesn't get much current back there. But if you're on like the main drag, a lot of it revolves around the current. Like
Mm.
those ledge fish or like a BB Coomer type area, a lot of that revolves around the current. And like it's weird because the timing's different too. It's not like a tidal system where every 6 hours it's changing. Like they could decide to pull water one day and the water's ripping and the fish are biting like crazy, and then the next day they don't move any water and then the fish are suspending and not biting.
Mm. Interesting,
So
dude.
it's definitely a lot different than really anywhere else that I've been to.
What is one thing that you want to improve on your game going forward into next year?
Live scope, definitely. That's pretty much every day I've been fun fishing since I got back from Fork. I've been working on live scope and getting better at what I'm seeing on the screen and getting better at casting my bait accurately and making a good presentation to the fish and knowing like what fish is a bass and what is a trash fish. Like that's really my biggest focus is learning the live scope right now.
Are you predominantly fishing that on the Delaware, or are you practicing on a lake?
I honestly haven't been bringing it to the Delaware much, no, because it's not the
Okay.
greatest place to learn it at. But there's a couple lakes around me that are a little bit deeper and clearer, and I've been going there a lot recently because I just feel like that's the best place to learn it.
No complaints here with that. That makes total sense to me. What do you do for a living?
I'm a groundskeeper. I work at a golf course.
Oh, cool. That you must be really in tune then with seasons and stuff.
Oh yeah, and like I feel like I don't get 10 minutes without looking at the weather. Sometimes like I'm always obsessed over when the rain's coming, when the wind's coming, because yeah, it has a big effect on fishing and the golf course. Like everything we do is revolved around the weather, just like fishing.
Especially when it comes to just grass and planting grass and things like that.
Yeah, and when's the best time to put fertilizer down? When's the best time to put herbicide down, insecticide? Like there's a lot more that goes into a golf course than most people see when they go and just golf for fun.
How much does sunlight affect grass growth?
It's like one of the biggest things, and one of the biggest problems is having too much sunlight because then you got to stay and water the grass constantly all day, making sure it doesn't die. Especially when you have a lot of wind, because the wind will blow the water off of like out of the grass, and it won't be able to drink all of it.
Huh. Does that mean like? Do you think it's more the sun or the weather that really turns things on in the spring? Like, and I know it's like, we were trying to say that again. Is it the longer days or is it the warming weather that has the biggest effect on fish movement?
Both, but I feel like unless you have a crazy weather system, like a 20-degree drop in temperature or a huge blowout rainstorm, typically the fish movements is about the same year to year. It might change by like a week or two depending on the weather, but typically those fish are going to make their seasonal movements, I feel like, around the same time, especially on a bigger body of water. Like the smaller bodies of water can be more affected by the weather,
Hmm.
but like a big reservoir, I feel like those fish genuinely make the same movements around the same time of year.
Interesting stuff. Jake, now,
But like a small body of water, some days, like if a small body of water warms up really quickly, it's crazy how fast those fish will get up and start making beds. But
oh,
I feel like that doesn't happen as dramatically on bigger bodies of water.
no, and that's why ponds can just be so deadly in the spring and in the fall because they're the ones that are going to get affected the quickest by those weather changes.
Yeah, yeah. When you get like the first warm day or two after winter, that's usually the best time to go to the ponds because those fish will start chewing instantly.
Jake, I really appreciate you coming on today. Is there anything that we can do to promote any kind of sponsors or anything you have coming up?
No, not really, not at the moment. My Instagram is JC_fishing world WRLD, like Juice World. And then my Facebook is just my name, Jake Coucoules.
There you have it. Well, then we'll definitely, guys, as always, we'll link that stuff in the episode description down below. You can go check him out. What's your next big event that you have coming up?
Potomac this weekend. I'm really excited for that one.
That one should be really fun. I'm really frustrated I have to miss this one, but I'll be there for a lot of the other ones. 2 title things back to back, dude. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I love fishing title stuff, especially at this time of year. I wish I was going to be able to get a day of practice for Potomac, but it's not going to work out that way with work. But I'm just going to go there and fish some history and hopefully find some fish.
Well, since this episode is going to upload the week after the Potomac, what is your plan to tell your future self about what's going on? Where are you going to fish?
There's 2 creeks that I'm planning on fishing. I'm not sure exactly which one yet. It's going to depend on the wind direction and weather, but probably either Aquia or Pohick. And I just hope that I can find a good area that the fish are moving in and out of, and hopefully there's not 50 boats around me, because that seems to happen at Potomac a lot this time of year.
That is the Potomac special. It just is. I mean, you're going to have so many boats around you. And, dude, Aquia Creek's a hell of a haul for you coming from Jersey. My God.
Yeah, it's a decent drive, but if there's not 50 boats, it'll be worth it. If there is 50 boats, I'll probably go to Pohick. That's really my biggest determination, that and the wind direction. But those creeks are both kind of facing the same direction for wind.
What do you think you're going to catch, length, inches wise?
Oh, hopefully 90. 90 will probably get me a check. So hopefully 90.
Yeah. I think anything above 80, you'll be good, because you just never know. Somebody might crack 90 potentially, but anything above 80 will probably get you in the top 10%.
Yeah, there's over 90 inches swimming in every one of those creeks. So it's always possible. But that's really my goal. If I get 90 and someone beats me, I'll still be happy with myself.
There you have it, guys. He's doing a prediction here, so he can go listen to this when it gets uploaded, and he'll know whether he was right or way off. Jake, I really appreciate you coming on to talk about your win here, guys. Again, you're a Chesapeake Bay champion for the Mid-Atlantic stop number 2, all the way down from Jersey, taking everybody's money. Guys, link in the episode description to everything that we talked about. Please go check out Jake. And if you'd like to, you can come support us here on Patreon. We have a couple of spots left, and you can get into the fishing tournament we're doing until Father's Day, which is the Spring Bass Bash, brought to you by the Basscast Radio. Brian does a great job over there. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.